So you don't understand anchor points. Not a problem. Every time you drag something to your canvas, it will have an anchor point that looks like a sunflower. Now, anchor points were developed as an answer to the problem of not knowing how big your player's monitor was going to be. I can tell you from personal experience, the first time I developed a game, I spent hundreds of hours carefully programming the UI to specific position, and when I sent it to my friend to test for the first time, his monitor was huge, which made everything in my UI appear tiny and stretched. And it took forever for me to understand what was going on, and after hundreds of hours, I finally figured out I was supposed to use anchor points. So if you want to avoid that problem, here's what you need to know. There are 4 main ways that you can use anchor points. The first is single point, meaning you simply place the entire anchor point closest to the part of the screen that it's supposed to be. You can do this quickly by clicking your stuff and on the top right under anchor, set it to whatever part of the screen that you want it to follow. For example, these green buttons are closest to the left side of the screen. So one way I could do this would be to shift click all of them and then set the anchor point to the left side. If I do this, now you can see that no matter what the dimensions of the player's monitor is, the green buttons will always try and stick with the left side of the screen. Now, because they are anchored to the left side of the screen, you might have also noticed that they look fine when the screen is stretched horizontally, but if you stretch them vertically, they don't really seem to react. The easy fix for this is to simply place the anchor points in the middle of the buttons themselves. If you look now, you will notice the buttons keep their relative position both horizontally and vertically. Now, the other way you could use anchor points is with exact proportional precision. Instead of anchoring the points to the middle of the buttons like we did on the green buttons, we can break the anchor point into different parts to perfectly wrap around the button's dimensions. Now watch what happens if we adjust the size of the screen now. See that? When the anchor points are wrapped precisely around the button, they don't just adjust their position, they also adjust their proportion. So the buttons will expand and shrink to take the same amount of screen space no matter what the screen does. But when the anchor points are just in the middle of the buttons like on the green area, the dimensions of the buttons do not change, only their position. So if you want the buttons to change proportion, wrap the anchor points around like this. If you do not want the buttons to change proportion, put it in the middle of your buttons. Now you can actually mix the two techniques together. Let's say you wanted the buttons to be able to stretch horizontally, but not vertically. Well, you could do that by simply snapping the vertical anchors together. Likewise, if you wanted the buttons to stretch vertically, but not horizontally, you could snap the horizontal anchor points together instead. And now, if we stretch them out, you can see that these buttons' vertical proportions do not change, and those buttons' horizontal proportions do not change. So just think about how you want your UI to be set up and how you want it to be able to adapt to different monitor sizes. Hope that helps, and as always, hope you have a fantastic day, and I'll see you around.